Thanks everybody for coming today. It's a beautiful June in Dallas, in case you're watching this on video later. But you're here, so cool. So my name is Emrah Halpa. I'm a senior product manager for ArcSight Global Content and Connectors. I'm very new into this role, so be gentle. We will be talking about threat-centric ArcSight today. How do we enable a self-defending enterprise? It can't automate everything, but how do we make sure we can automate as much? So again, this is how I look like on a photo. And we are here now, so we will have some confidential information. I'll be honest, I just added a couple additional confidential information right now, so there will be a lot of confidential information, but that's a good thing. And the thing that I like about ArcSight is we just give this confidential information away, a lot more than the HP days. With the Micro Focus, our roadmaps are not as solid, but we are not as wet, somewhere in between, and we can change it. Yes, things can change, but we are generally under-promising and over-delivering. That's hopefully what you are also seeing, especially with the new ArcSight refocused strategy. This is a small little agenda. People, when they see this, I'm like, oh, Emrah, we don't give you the whole day. Actually, I get arrested when I cannot deliver this, and this is exactly what happened in Slovenia. I did get handcuffed because I was a little overboard. So don't get arrested. That's our goal today. And information security, 20 years, 8 years of ArcSight, Canadian, Turkish, minimal techno DJ, motorcyclist, all those things. And I like tipping point and evading systems. And this is the small little update. In case you missed the presentation yesterday, I wanted to make sure you get this right. It's the year of phishing automation, two-factor authentication being bypassed. That seems to be the nature of the game these days, so we will talk about that. And how is the current today's security operations centers look like. And then the biggest topics of the day are MITRE ATT&CK Matrix, the Sigma rules, and the MISP-Circle threat intel platform. I should have made them green or red or something, but I didn't. Blue Keep is a recent attack, MSRDP. We will talk about how we are solving that problem proactively. Even before the exploit is released, how can we have an ARP file that actually protects against that? And visualizations, this is the section that keeps on getting added. I'm a new product manager. I have an R&D team from multiple, like 4 different countries of the world. And so it's time zone issue, but that's the smallest problem. And they are sending me PowerPoints. They're showing me their prototypes, their brains, and I put them here. I was so proud of what I saw. They said, well, Emrah, you just showed us MITRE. That's, in Turkish, we have a saying, lebdebeden leblebi anladı, which means before I even said M, you figured out Mississippi. I just told you M, and you said Mississippi. So yeah, let's start. This is the biggest problem of our day these days. And this is the human factor. How do we get the passwords? That's like everybody's trying to come up with a solution to get the passwords from the users. Well, don't try too hard. Just ask them. Seems to be the nature of the day. And of course, it's failing me. I brought a complete speaker so that this screen wouldn't fail. And we can come back to that at the end of the slide. So it's not helping right now too much. Let me see, one more shot.
We're talking about cybersecurity today and how safe people's passwords are. What is one of your online passwords currently?
It is my dog's name and the year I graduated from high school.
Oh, what kind of dog do you have?
I have a Chihuahua Papillon.
And what's its name?
Jameson.
Jameson. And where'd you go to school?
I went to school back in Greensburg, Pennsylvania.
What school?
Hempfield Area Senior High School.
Oh, when did you graduate?
In 2009.
Oh, great.
It's like my cat's name and then just like a random number.
Okay. Have you had this cat for a while?
Yeah, she's my childhood pet.
Aw. And what's her name?
Her name is Jolie.
Jolie. Mm-hmm. So like a password of yours would be Jolie and then a number.
Yeah.
Like number 1?
Like my birthday.
Oh, when is your birthday?
June 12th.
Oh, nice. And what year were you born?
95.
Oh, great. Mm-hmm. So Jolie, 6, 12, 95.
Yes.
Got it.
So you mean to give my password right now? No, I cannot do that.
But we all want to know what it is so we can tell you if it's strong or not.
Oh my goodness. Let me think. Okay, one is Tel Aviv. Yeah.
One.
4, 6, 8. and then Israel. It's only 3, but it's, you know, it's for me it's strong enough.
Ireland, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Gemma, 1, 2, 3. Spelled Gemma.
Well, most of them are Italian.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah,
Like
so
what?
like
Like what's a good Italian password?
my grandma's name,
What's your grandma's name?
Maria.
Maria. So Maria is your password?
Oh yeah, now you know my password. Oh yeah.
So, like, I know it sounds like a comedy show, and it feels more like, this is not real, Emrah. You just made this up. I didn't. This is on YouTube. Actually, it was on a primetime TV thing. I questioned why people are doing this. I then realized there's a camera person, there's a microphone person, and then there's a cameraman recording this person. Other people are walking by. So you are under immense stress. You need to show, you need to deliver. Because otherwise, if you don't tell me your password, I'll just go to another person. So this is your time to become famous, right? They are on YouTube because of this. So there is a human factor in everything. In DEF CON, there's a social engineering game. You're given a yellow pages and 1 hour. DEF CON is the biggest hacking conference, and it's actually happening in a month. And you are given 1 hour to go through the entire yellow pages and get as much information from as many companies as possible. That's how you get ratings. And a friend of mine's girlfriend, she just studied for 1 year for this whole game, and she became number 2. So you can become a very good social engineering person by just studying for 1 year. And you can become number 2 in the world's biggest hacking contest. So this type of human behavior is the least, I guess, worked on solution for it. So we can't have a solution for this. So this is one way. And another way of doing the exact same thing is the 2019 is the year of phishing attacks, and not just that, but also the two-factor authentication being bypassed. Emrah, you just told us 2 things. Which one? Well, two-factor authentication being bypassed means a lot more than just an email attack or in getting your emails or accounts. After I presented this in Universe in Vienna this year, maybe 2 months ago, a customer came to me in a very low voice. He said, Emrah, we are having the exact same problem in a bank in my country. And the people are not actually using this tool. This is a tool. They are actually calling the people to get there. Hey, we just sent you. A second factor authentication requires an SMS or some other form of second factor authentication. They tell, well, we are calling from the bank. We just sent you an SMS. Please read it out back to us, which is very similar to this. They would be questioning why. Well, we are calling from the bank. We want to make sure you got this SMS. That's why we sent it to you. So it's very easy for generally an elderly, maybe senior citizens generally fall victim to this type of attack. That's exactly what he told me. And a week later, another friend of mine from Italy, he called me. His friend lost 14,000 euro by an attack using this attack on the online banking system. So this is not an attack, just an attack on the emails or passwords. It's an attack that actually causes financial loss. And this is how it works. Before I go further, these are the 3 different types of spear phishing. So you would say spear phishing is spear phishing, nothing is new. Well, there's an attachment version, there's a link version, there's a service version. These are just today's 3 versions. This is an area that keeps on growing. And there is a virtual machine, much like Metasploit, Veil framework, one of those frameworks. There is a framework for creating these phishing emails. You just download the virtual appliance. One of them is called Modlishka. Another one of them is called EvilGenex here. They are using the same thing. One of them makes it a bit easier. It's a pre-compiled everything. You don't need to compile anything. It just works. You just spend generally 1 hour. Let's say you're this bad guy, Fisher. He downloads a virtual machine, and he spends probably 1 hour generating a bait email using this tool, fully automated. As a result, he has this machine somewhere on the internet. And then he creates this email. He just created this email. He sends it to a legitimate user, let's say this lady here. And then she receives this bait email. And then she's like, she's not too careful. She clicks on the email because the link is unfortunately to this bad third party, a middleman. The link should be this, obviously, but she doesn't check it. She clicks on the email, and she reaches the man in the middle. And then she gets prompted to log in. Up until now, nothing is new. This was a very old attack. The solution to these types of old attacks was, well, she has a smartphone. I will send my second factor authentication challenge to her because she is the only person with that smartphone. He doesn't have the smartphone. Even if he gets the password, the smartphone will be my second factor authentication to protect against this. Well, I'm sorry. Wake up. This is 2019 now. And when you get the session cookie after that second factor authentication, this is the problem. Session cookie gets released. It hasn't changed. This technique is just normal, like a transactional cookie, good for 15 minutes. Anyway, you get the cookie. It gets to the browser. Now she's authenticated, right? Beautiful. Unfortunately, it came from this middleman. So middleman also has the exact same cookie, which now the bad guy has the copy. He replaced that cookie. It's very similar to pass the hash attacks. When you're in Windows, you don't have to get the password. You can sniff the network, and you can get the hashed password, and then you can replay it. It's Mimikatz is using this purpose. And exact same thing. You're replaying the hash, the cookie, the authentication token. That's the main problem. How do we solve this problem? So, well, I really thought about this, and nothing came to my mind. You can't add a third factor authentication. It doesn't matter. The session cookie gets generated anyway. So the real reason why this is a big problem is you don't need to be an expert to create this. You can just download this. That's why it's widespread. So 10 out of 10, ease of use. That's the main issue. It's not rocket science. And here in action, there is a YouTube video if you want to learn even more about this. And you download, you go to this video, and it completely shows us what's going on. So Janusz receives this email with this interesting link. This is the only part that good people are going to be able to protect themselves against this attack. That has not changed. The link is wrong, nofish.com. So if you pay attention, you're not going to get phished. But 1% of the user population always, sometimes even myself, I'm considering, like 2 weeks ago, we got phished in Micro Focus, and I double thought about it. It was a user that I knew back in the days when we had another company that we sold later. It was the CEO of that company. So people are close to that person, and it has a very good subject line, and it comes at a really good time, like during the week in the afternoon, so that it doesn't get buried away in the email. So when you're online, you see this email, and you feel like clicking on it, especially if you're on the run. And here's the solution. This is the approving the request using the smartphone authentication, Microsoft Authenticator app. So, and then we continue. Now, he or she clicks, yes, I approve this request, which means we will now get authenticated to the original website. As you can see, boom, we are now on the original website. We get the email. We think everything is safe. This is beautiful because if she or he couldn't get to this page, there will be an alert. Oh, I couldn't get to my page. Let's then make a help desk call. No. He or she was able to get there, and he or she didn't have to re-enter the password. We used to have a second password entering. Anyway, now we have the password, but the token is also captured, and this is the token. So if you can copy-paste this session cookie into a brand new browser, that brand new browser will be an authenticated system that can log in to that target server. It is not rocket science, even though this Linux command prompt makes it look like, Emrah, I knew it. It wasn't easy. There you go. We have a command prompt shell open. Trust me, I didn't even use the keyboard. I typed sessions. That was the only thing I did. Sessions, enter, and then I used my mouse to copy that thing. Now I'm pasting it into this cookie thing in a brand new browser. This is the Chromium web browser. So I'm pasting a cookie in here. I don't even know. This is the first time I'm seeing this attack. I mean, not right now the first time, but this type of attack. And OutlookLive.com, we are now going, so now we are the bad guy. We just authenticated our Chrome browser. Now we can read the whole thing without getting questioned. We didn't get a username prompt. We didn't get a password prompt. If one of your users' email gets compromised like this, you can say, Emrah, I don't care, man. I mean, it's not my CEO, you know, it's someone. This is how they get access to the machine first. Now they can send other emails. Now they have a completely trusted email account inside your network. They can send another phishing email if they wanted to. If they can own this box using some other technique. And this is the very start. In the MITRE ATT&CK Matrix, which is a very good framework to explain the plethora of attacks, this attack is considered in the first column. It's like, think about it as an Excel. In the first column, that's how they start. This is the initial gain access phase called initial access, which we will talk in a second. Before I do that, can we detect this problem? Now that I presented the problem, what is the solution? Well, everybody thinks that middleman in the middle of the ocean, right next to Africa, the bad server, could have an IP address and it could have a domain name. Sure, but they are very easy to bypass. If you would be really lucky, have to be really lucky and not be patient zero, and maybe your threat intel could stop this. And so use this, but don't just rely on this solution. It's a good solution. If someone else has been attacked, hopefully that someone else has reported the IP. Now we can all benefit from that crowdsourced intelligence. Good. But please don't just rely on that one. This is one of our competition in the SIM domain. They are good, and I like competition. And when I saw this, that they had an evil GeneX solution, that opened my eyes. I'm like, that's good. We have really good competition, so we can compare our solutions. This was their solution. And they were looking at the DNS source, DNS query host, as well as these dynamic DNS providers. Dynamic DNS providers are noip.com, noip.org, zap2.org. This is something that I used more than 15 years ago with my mother's. I was remote desktoping into her laptop to do remote support. This is very old. Like, I don't think hackers are using this technique anymore. Like, this is a bit like a joke. So I didn't like it. I was a bit unhappy when I saw this solution. So DNS request detection on this type of attack is just the tip of the iceberg. What about the rest? Like, I want to really, without false positives and without false negatives, I want to find this out. I want to catch this guy. How? This is not the best solution. I'm sorry. And because they were relying on one factor, which is this bad guy here in the middle. So it is not utilizing a defense in-depth technology. And of course, you can look at a new thing called created date, which is the domains have a creation date. Coca-Cola, Facebook are probably 10 years, 20 years ago. If this is a 0 day, true 0 day, he just maybe registered it yesterday, just for your situation. You can get those URLs, domain names. Every night have a batch script. Jay Heidecker, if you're listening to this, he's the brainchild of this solution. He's an ArcSight, old ArcSight engineer. And he put all these domains, quite a lot, every day, email logs, web proxy logs, a lot of domains. Put them in an active list, run it in a script. Every night, download the created date. This created date, created. Every domain has a creation date. And then compare it to that current date. If the difference is more than 3 days or less than 3 days, alert. Somebody just clicked on a drive-by, completely new domain name. Adobe.com, Microsoft.com, regular stuff, they don't have very recent domain names. We don't have new domain names popping up every day.
Yeah, what about before issuing a session cookie, taking a look at not the URL as much as the IP address of the client, and then being able to then auto-verify that that's the same client that's in the database, and then pass the session.
Thank you very much. This is exactly what I was thinking. That's one way of doing it, yes. But what we are trying to do is we are not trying to change the application too much. We are trying to keep the application as is and not change the authentication process. And as the SIM solution, just by looking at the logs, being able to provide a second look into what's happening. Maybe we could deny the request if we are powerful enough and we can detect this in time, or maybe we can alert on the fact that something just left the company. Very good point. And that's exactly what I'm going to suggest right now. So The legitimate user has a laptop. The legitimate user has a smartphone. Yes, the server is missing right now, but these are the 3 additional things we can utilize. So if you can get the logs from this laptop, thank you very much. May I have your name? This is important. Charles. From? All right, Charles from NT Square had the solution to this, so thank you, Charles. And so we have the legitimate laptop. I'm going to explain right now how I would do this. You will get the slides later. So this is the best way to describe this. Legitimate user has a laptop, let's say in Toronto somewhere in Canada. Most likely her smartphone is right next to her as well, right? So that laptop and smartphone have geolocations. The smartphone has a geolocation. What's that geolocation? Google and Apple, they all know you exactly where you are in the world within 50 meters of accuracy, right? And enable location services. And legitimate laptop, we have an IP. That IP has a geolocation. It could be within 200 kilometers. It's not 50 meters, but it's still short, close enough. If we could calculate the distance between those 2 different entities, and the logic could be maybe within 200 kilometers, then it's the trusted system. Of course, after the initial password and the second factor authentication, this would be your 3rd check. And it could be in real time. This is what I'm going to show. And now we authenticated the user. The laptop, in this case, because I'm from Turkey, bad guys always come from Turkey, and the official laptop is in, like, I guess, eastern region of Turkey. Now he's also logging in. And we are like, I'm really sorry. The smartphone and the laptop are not close to each other. It is quite a distance. So there is an attack against this solution, which is this person could make it look like he's in Toronto by getting an IP from that location. But again, we are always trying to increase the threshold. We are trying to make the false positives go away. We are trying to make the job of the hacker tougher. So this is, in my opinion, one of the least false positive solutions because of that, the geolocation services. And if we can do this in real time, this is the beautiful part. Everybody says search, hunt, very good stuff, analytics, visualization, danke schön. However, if we could tell it as a rule, like we just acquired a company called Interset. That Interset last year at Black Hat, on their laptop they had a sticker that said rules suck. This is the new thing. You know, everybody hates the rules. SIM is dead, baby. You know, machine learning is the new game of the game. I understand. There's very nice things to do with machine learning, UEBA. Alone, they help very much. However, 60 to 80%, in some cases 90% of the attacks are known. If you have a known attack, you can write a correlation rule. If it's easy to write that correlation rule, if you can whiteboard this, we can write this. This is our bread and butter. That's why we are having this session today. We are going to be talking about how advanced power of correlation can help you so that you can focus on other things. Do you have better things in life to focus on other than this one? Because it can be automated. This defense can be automated. How? You can create a global variable called distance_m, which has this mathematical function, which uses sinus, cosinus, and longitude and latitude. And Earth's radius is this, and then p number, the pi number is this. I'm not a mathematician, I'm not a geographist, and all these things combined, this is a use case from almost 10 years ago, where we were doing neighbor snooping, snooping on your neighbors. Like, let's say I'm a doctor and I'm a nurse. I want to snoop on my neighbor sitting on the same street. So when I go into the database and look at a patient record, if that patient's address is very close to me, there would be an alert. We used to have this use case. Same thing with the tax returns. If I'm a finance powerful person and I can look up people's tax returns, assuming, when I look up someone that lives very close to me, boom, an alert would come. How is that geolocation comparison worked? So I went into our systems, got this, and you could include that as a condition in your rule writing process. You're saying possible man-in-the-middle attack detected where the distance in meters is more than 1 kilometer, whatever. You can say 200 kilometers. So this is just, you do this once, and then now you can use it multiple times. So this is the power of advanced correlation. That's why this thing works. This is the reason why I am the PM for ArcSight connectors. people said, ArcSight is a good solution. However, creating these rules is rocket science. Like, where did this come from, Emrah? Come on. I mean, this is not easy, right? So we need to make these types of things globally available so that you know your strengths. In the community page, we need to publish all these rules openly. We need to make, we just made another decision actually yesterday. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to say all these things right now while on record, but I am actually. Yesterday we decided to make our parsers, unobfuscated parsers, available to our, not just our partners, but also our customers. Thank you. So ArcSight is trying to be as open as possible in order to be relevant in today's SOCs. And we want to make sure that we do our best to help our customers and partners to get to that level. You shouldn't be having to wait on us to help you. We should help you by default. And this is how we are going to do this. And the solution is a hybrid approach to security operations centers. So advanced correlation alone is not enough. This is a photo. I just wanted to have it not like a screenshot. I could have done it. I didn't do this on purpose so that you would believe me. I took my smartphone. I came. So I'm in Israel. This is October 2018 in Tel Aviv, in a very advanced security operations centers. We go in, and then another door, is secure door. We go really in now. There's only like 4 people sitting in the middle. 724, 3 different shifts. They had 20 or so customers. This was their only big page. Everyone else had their own screens, but this was the main dashboard. And they had a table tennis in the back, so they live there, these guys. That's their thing. And there's a kitchen, and very advanced place though. And this was the screen. I'm going to focus on it in a second, but just want to let you know that the 60% of the screen is rules. FortiGate external to internal, Windows Kerberos ticket failed, Windows failed login, Windows service installation detected. So Emrah, an advanced SOC probably has 100, 400 rules, right? What is this? Is this 10 rules? Are you kidding me? No, these are the top 10 or top 15 rules that were very important to this company. Of course, everybody has their own screens. This is what is happening, and it's showing time. This thing is repeating. And there's 20 minutes, 20 minutes, 20 minutes. So something in FortiGate is happening very repetitively. This is very interesting. So another one, Windows Kerberos ticket, very repetitive. Another thing, maybe 20 minutes here. So like as a human, we can just look at this and see, why is this? There's 3 of them back to back. So like almost groupings of 3. So I'm not going to solve this problem right now, but the reason I'm explaining this, the rules can have very good visual looks, and it could be your first defense. Then the remaining stuff is on the top. As you can see, they are using K. This is, anyone knows? Thank you. So you can use ArcSight in a hybrid environment. ESM shouldn't look like the ESM Java or the web console. It could use the APIs to feed this third-party screen with the Kibana running on the top in the background for the hunting part, for the visualization part. I'm sorry, I had the answer here. so yeah, this is all the rules in a more focused fashion if you really wanted to see. And then they are saying, Emrah, this is 2019. Really? Windows failed login? Is that how you're going to catch the latest attacks? Yes. I'm going to look you in the eye, and I'm not going to argue with anyone, but I'm going to stand behind this hypothesis that you need regular stuff. Failed logins, if it's repetitive. Again, another example. We call this company, we were doing their SOC, we were providing a service. We called, you have more than 1,000 Windows failed login on your administrator account. We don't know if it's privileged. Sometimes they rename the guest to administrator, but the administrator account, it is being failed login more than 1,000 times a day. Do you want to look into this? They said, no. We said, why? They said, we have a bigger fish to fry. There's some kind of data being leaked right now, yesterday, so all the people are focusing on that one. So this is the bigger problem. The solution is there. The people are there. We are alerting. We are telling. The party that is supposed to take an action is busy. So the whole chain should function very well for a SOC to have a correct solution. And failed logins sometimes find ransomware. I can talk about that later. I don't want to delay the slides, but we had a company where we detected NotPetya, where it was a zero-day attack, just by looking at the privileged admin logins, privileged account failed logins per minute. And for the last 20 minutes, there was a big spike. We said, shut down the servers. We were lucky because NotPetya starts encrypting the servers 40 minutes into the process, not in the first 39 minutes. So if you shut them down before those 40 minutes start, the encryption did not start. So we were lucky to see that in real time. We didn't have a rule for it. We just had the Windows failed login dashboards. That was exactly how we clued in who uses privileged logons. Admins, NIMDA, all those things, who uses them? Well, it's the servers. Shut them down. That was the solution, and it worked. So regular dashboards, and that dashboard was from Activate, the Windows package. So regular dashboards can save our life. Exposure time. This is something I'm hearing all the time, which is detection time plus response time. One of these things cannot go down. Anyone knows? It's the response time doesn't change. It's very political. Companies are they have their own thing going on. So if you really want to bring this down, you only have one choice. Your detection time needs to go down. Banks do this. They put enough CPU and memory into an ESM, ArcSight, and they can bring the detection time to nanoseconds, milliseconds, however they want to. So you can do this. It is possible to do this because hunting and finding the needle in the haystack takes a lot of time after the fact. So don't do that. And this is a video. I'm not going to show this video, but you will have the slides later. You can watch the video later. This is showing how advanced correlation is a lot different than searching for repetitive events, looking at the disk, which is after the fact. That's one problem because it's too late. It's not real time. Two, it's looking at a specific time window. In the real-time correlation in memory, you're actually looking at things in a rolling time window. So your 5 minutes is moving with you. So there's a thing called now, and that now is a variable number. So that's the advantage, and which this video goes through in detail, which I'm not going to do. I will give you the slides later. So, okay, welcome to MITRE ATT&CK Matrix. This is important. This is the biggest solution our InfoSec world has come up with to all the attacks in the world. I'm not saying we will just deploy this and we will be secure. Yet I'm saying this is a very good framework. It is better than the 7-step kill chain, or maybe the Nest as well. I'm not saying one of them is better, but in one way this one is better, which shows you what exactly it is that you should do to defend against a specific attack vector. What they have done is they have created these columns. Try not to see the white pages first, white stuff first. Look at the blue at the top. One of them is called initial access. That's the first one. So an attack starts by generally sending a spear phishing email, the one that we showed earlier. You get an attachment, a link. You click on it. Boom, something executes on your machine. And then that something hooks into the machine by probably putting themselves into HK local machine, Windows current version run, scheduled task, service, all these things are here. It's a long list. As you can see, we had to cut this. This is 3 times bigger than this. That's why it's 300 techniques. Each one of them is a technique. This one is called a tactic. So within the execution and persistence tactic, we have maybe 25, 30 different techniques. Long story short, now once they get a foothold on that workstation, now they escalate their privilege, become a local admin. Then they start to do lateral movement, go to the next Active Directory, pass the hash, mimikatz, and some technique. They learn the SQL admin's hash, they dump the database, and they take it outside, exfiltration and command and control. This, I just wanted to keep this because I really like the way it's showing an attack progressing slowly. So different actors specialize in different tactics and techniques. Actor 1 could be doing the first 2. Another actor could be doing this. This could take 2 weeks, and then it could wait for 6 months. And then 6 months later, this stage can start by another actor. Because once they get all these details from your system, They can dump the account names, the workstation names, which is, this is not James Bond. I did see this in another customer. They dumped the entire Active Directory workstation names. They published it on a darknet, and someone else bought that from them, and they used that to hard code the workstation name into the exploit so that they could bypass any sandbox. Because sandbox had another virtual machine name in it, hard-coded. There are multiple ways to bypass sandboxes. That was the insanely very best way of doing it. They know exactly what the workstation names were. Anyway, long story short, if we could detect these specific techniques, then we would almost be closing the door to everyone. This is the DNA of all the attacks. This is the molecule. This is at the atomic level. Like yesterday, actually last week, I got an email with the latest ransomware. I forgot the names right now. One of them is the RDP vulnerability these days called Bluekeep. Do you really want to keep up to date with these cool names? No. Just by focusing on this, you're covering yourself against the molecule, against the atomic level. So Interset, that company that we acquired, has 75% coverage, which is good. Our new UI within ESM has that kill chain approach at the top based on MITRE ATT&CK Matrix. So this has caught the world of InfoSec by fire in the last 2 years. There's been 30 conferences last year. This year there will be more than 30. One in Europe, another one in the United States called AttackCon. And it's getting very famous now. So, and this is how Interset's solution was catching most of these techniques. As you can see, it's green. Green means they have a solution that focuses on that technique. However, this is not a sales, right? This is a more technical discussion, obviously. I hope we can keep it that way. And these 75 is examples in the wild. It's not covering the whole thing. It's covering certain examples. There could be another example where this green thing is not covering against that. So you should make sure how much percentage, how green is this green? So there are shades of green in this case. But again, this is how we believe a MITRE ATT&CK Matrix could be used. As a company, you could say, if I have a really high confidence, forget SIM, forget ArcSight. Try to look at it from a CISO level, from your security defense mechanism perspective. If you have, let's say, a very good antivirus that stops the logon scripts from being modified and everything, you don't need a SIM for this. It's in good shape anyway, so maybe focus on something else with your SIM. If you really want to, you can do that too, but don't waste your time. So if you have another solution that is fairly okay with, let's say, exploitation of vulnerabilities, maybe a EDR solution, maybe some other endpoint protection solution, you are fairly okay in that domain, so you color the entire matrix like this for your organization, knowing which botnet, which other solutions that you have sandboxing. Now, anything that's remaining is in orange. Focus on those oranges with your SIM. That's your last line of defense. That's one way of using this matrix. Second way of using this matrix, you could still have enough high number of oranges, which unfortunately, that's just truth. And you could, one company said, well, I'm going to focus on the first initial access or the persistence so that they can't get in, assuming they are not already in this phase, which is a big assumption. So in my opinion, the best of all worlds would be focus on the orange ones that your threat actors are using. Because each threat actor is specializing in a certain technique, go to mitre.org, and if you can, each one of these techniques have an ID. As you can see, PowerShell is T1086. You can right-click this thing, and a new page would open, showing you all the actors in real time that are famous with using that technique. If you already know, if you're a finance company, APT7, that's a big actor these days. APT7 most likely uses PowerShell. I don't know their top 5, but there is a list. Their top 5 is like a Spotify playlist. The threat actor APT7 has these top 5. APT9 has these top 5. Get the common denominator. Maybe PowerShell is the common denominator of those threat actors that are targeting your organization, and maybe PowerShell was one of your oranges. So you don't need me to tell you that's the first thing you should stop. So I'm not going to say it's going to take 1 day to focus on it. Whatever many weeks, months it takes, it deserves that time because it's your most important Achilles heel, so to speak. So that's how we use this matrix to understand where we should put our hard-earned dollars. We don't have all the resources in the world. Which solution should we deploy in which part? This is that matrix. It's our way of winning this game, our chance of winning this game. When you go to MITRE ATT&CK Matrix on the Twitter, you always see a lot of threat intel, APT, threat actors, and other things that generally go with this. The other two things that generally go hand in hand with MITRE are Sigma rules, which are SIM rules, and threat intel. There is a specific threat intel that is always going hand in hand with MITRE. It's the, I don't know why, the world has decided on it. It's the MISP circle. What is MISP circle? Is it a name, like a Jupiter alien name? It's Malware Information Sharing Platform. Circle, there's another acronym for that one. It's a threat intel, which I will talk about in a second. These are the 3 musketeers, I call them, that have been coming up in the last 2 years. And the defense organizations are paying very much attention to these 3 things, MITRE being number 1. So our Activate content, some people are questioning this and saying, Emrah, Activate was a good start. Is it in good hands right now? Well, we are still developing Activate. We are developing Activate using MITRE tagging right now. And if you were using Activate, keep on using it. If you weren't, you don't need to focus on it. But there are some really, really good parts of Activate. In this case, this is just a snippet of the Windows portion where we talk about registry value was modified, new kernel filter driver, authentication of the policy change, a service was installed. Like, we had this as a MITRE technique for so long, but we didn't tag it as such. So we are compatible to MITRE, even with the Activate. So we are now changing the rule names, not the rule names themselves, but adding so that we can tell you how compatible ArcSight is with MITRE, so that we could give you that page, the matrix, and by just looking at the matrix, you would know how compatible we are. And by selecting certain packages, you would have a MITRE compatible package downloaded covering certain techniques within your enterprise. So that's how we are going to update our marketplace so that you don't have to search for a new ARP file. So that you would have this landing page, you would know very high level how ArcSight is covering all these things, using which technique. Sigma. This is a roadmap item. Sigma is a generic signature format that is used for the SIMs of the world. We are trying to make ArcSight not a domain of experts, but anyone that is a new graduate from the university should be able to use ArcSight. That's our goal. In order to achieve this goal, we are going to adopt this Sigma signature writing format. How does it look like? It's a generic format, it's an open standard, and it automaps to MITRE ATT&CK Matrix, and it is crowdsourced. We can, as ArcSight, as Micro Focus, create rules that focus on this, but others can also do this. The world can do that. This is a sample Sigma rule. This is a great solution to one of the pain points of rule writing. My customers have been coming to me and asking, Emrah, just by looking at a rule, I don't know what it does. I have to click on tabs. I need to double click on the filter to go to another filter, nested filters, which is a best practice for building rules. It takes me like 5 minutes, and then I realize, this thing finds phishing attacks coming from this country. If it's 3 times in a row, then I get this alert. Can I just not know about this just by reading maybe for maybe 5 seconds and 10 seconds, then I know what that rule does? Well, there is this solution. Title, multiple failed logins with different accounts from single source. Description, detect suspicious failed logins with different user account. Author. At this point, I stopped. I said, author, do we really need an author? And the SOC Prime, I was having this discussion with SOC Prime, CEO Andrew, and he said, Emrah, if anything, if nothing else, we need the author. I said, why? Because when this rule fails, the user knows who to call. If this rule came from SOC Prime, they would now know, SOC Prime, this rule failed. They wouldn't need to open a support ticket to ArcSight, spending time spinning their wheels. So now we will know who wrote this. We could have a confidence level hey, this is medium. There's going to be some false positives. Okay, which ones? Terminal servers, jump stations. So many people log into these things anyway. So, okay, what is the condition? Well, this is the condition. Selection of the count, username by source workstation, larger than 3. Thank you very much, Emrah. You're catching me the failed login. Sigma is a very advanced technique, it seems. What else can it do? Well, it seems it can do a lot more than that. It can focus on the file hashes, images, star, command.exe, command line. You can get quite creative with this in order to catch a specific ransomware. So Sigma looks a bit too easy. Maybe it won't detect so many things. I'm sorry, it detects quite a lot of things. So there are lots of Sigma rules. Emrah, thank you. How do I convert this thing to ArcSight? There is a conversion process. It's a Python script. You just double click, boom, you get the ArcSight content. This we are thinking of using in order to make ArcSight products talk to each other. We have another SIM, Sentinel. Why not use this? And ArcSight and Sentinel can have a language that is common. This is the goal. ArcSight should be open. ArcSight should be crowdsourced. ArcSight should follow and make the content readily available. This is one way we are also looking at. In order to do it, we need to change some of the things. We used to have package versions. Now we are going to have rule versions so that you can update specific rules in a package, because we will keep on updating these things. As you can see, they are tagged with MITRE ATT&CK Matrix. So Sigma and MITRE are going hand in hand. And this is the MISP circle. This is critical that I mentioned this. There is, even yesterday, I was on a phone call talking about how this would be added into our ESM 7.2 release, which is coming in November. And the feature complete date is July, so we are rushing to get this done in the right way. And it's a threat sharing platform that is the public version. Emrah, any threat sharing in the public is probably not good enough. That's why we have the private and the government and other sectors that have their own threat sharing. You're right, I agree. This is a public threat sharing platform, and the bad guys have access to it, so they know what you're monitoring. So that's why it's not the best, but it's a very good start. It is very up to date. So many companies are using it already. It's an organization based in Luxembourg. Many certs are using this. I think all the certs are using this in Europe. So I'm seeing a lot of worldwide domination coming up as well. So take this as one source of truth, and then if you really want, add your private TI feeds on top of this. Another reason why I really like this is their website. And give me 1 second. This is the website. You can log into this website and understand why people have given thumbs up, thumbs down to sightings. You can see the number of sightings of a specific indicator. And it's not just IP addresses and domain names, it's also the full URL, file hashes, and email addresses. Email addresses are critical because they are being used in phishing attacks. So this is the next gen, in my opinion, of this. And you can get that login for free to that website. And the way we are going to make this easy, because right now you can use this with ArcSight, no problem, but you need to have a Styx taxi client, you need to know Python, you need to have a scheduled task, a cron job, and you need to make sure that it runs properly, it updates the active lists. Too many things to focus on. We need to make it easy for anyone, because that shouldn't be your job. Your job should be getting the benefits of this solution, not learning how to install this. We are creating an installer for a specific smart connector called Model Import Connector. From the RepSM days, we used to have this. It's a special smart connector that is intelligent enough to go and grab this data and update the ESM active lists. And do this continuously. Know which delta is needed and not just dump the 5.5 million each time. So that's the beauty that we are going to bring to the table. This is BlueKeep. It's the latest MSRDP exploit that came. It's not the exploit yet. That people were afraid that this would be the next WannaCry. It hasn't yet. Who knows? Maybe it will. That's why we have a package for it. It is not in our marketplace. It's in the marketplace of one of our trusted partners, technology alliance partners, and it's SOC Prime. And they are coming up with this free content on their website. And so we are partnering with them, and we are proud to be doing this because they are using MITRE tagging in their rules, which means our MITRE dashboards, when we release them, if you had content from them, it will be compatible. It will be shown as yet another rule within your arsenal that is tagged with MITRE. So it's free to download. There is a video about this. I'm not going to spend too much time right now. But
Hi, this is Andre from Subprime, and today we're going to talk about
he talks about how this rule has been created and why it is using all the powerful parts of ESM. And we have 5 more minutes, and then we will have the Q&A. But before I do that, and the Q&A, these are the visualizations that have been put into ArcSight since we changed the content PM. I became the PM, and we regrouped together. And to support the ArcSight refocused strategy, these are the MITRE-related visualizations that have been added so far to ESM, which you will see very shortly. And some of them have already made it to ArcSight Marketplace. So this is the device custom string 6, which is the MITRE ID. This is the key to the kingdom. We don't want to change too many things. As we all know, the schema is quite crowded. So this is the least used field in the schema. That's why we decided to pick that one. Using that, now, one of the questions was, Emrah, are we going to start from scratch and create new rules? Well, 265 rules that can easily be mapped to MITRE. We already have them. So it's just a matter of going back and re-tagging them, and then we will publish them as MITRE-compatible packages. This is a small demo of a MITRE attack visualization. This is an internal video. So I'm going to stop the audio here, but show you the video mostly. This is an ArcSight Command Center prototype. Again, this is the NDA that's kicking in. It may not work. This is a roadmap item. However, we are very close to doing this. It's not PowerPoint. It is actually a prototype working on ArcSight Command Center. It's a dashboard, and it's called the MITRE Visualization Dashboard. It talks about specific rules in your environment that are focused on MITRE. And at the bottom, which we are not seeing right now, we will optimize this. This is the prototype. And you can say null minus 6 hours, null minus 3 hours. Give me all the events in my environment based on MITRE tactics and techniques. And because it is not easy, this is a malicious operation started, first execution of whatever attack. And you can zoom in, zoom out. You can search for the filter by name. It's like a tree that gets lighted, that gets lit, depending on which filter you want to focus on. That's one. The second one, we will have a marketplace web page, which will have these greenness on them so that you will exactly know what to click on, and then you will be able to download a zip file of ARP files that have the content that you selected in the MITRE so that you can deploy them in ArcSight. And this is a couple use cases that are showing. I'm not going to spend too much time here. And as a result, what you will see in ESM will be not just the ID, which is not easy, not humanly readable. You will get the tactic and MITRE name because there will be active lists that map to that. And these are some of the dashboards. So you're seeing an event here. It's talking about the tactic and technique. And this is the visualization. The DGA, which was a good feature within ArcSight Investigate, which is our hunting tool, is coming to Logger. This is the prototype Logger visualization that is coming, I believe, in November. DGA is that bad attack where they use really cryptic long DNS domain names, and then they exfiltrate data, or they do command and control. You will be able to get this data on Logger. So we had that in our smart connector. The logic was in the smart connector. It was just a matter of creating the dashboard. And Sleeman, thank you for doing this, one of my developers. He came up with this. I said, when did you do this? He said, well, you showed it to me, and I just decided to do it. And these are some of the DGA IP clients. It's called the Logger Radar Overview. This is some of the new visualizations in Logger. Logger 6.7, please download it. I saw a customer at Logger 6.2 3 weeks ago. I said, guys, that's 4 years ago. That was a second customer, again, from Turkey. It doesn't have to be Turkey. Just because I have a Turkish background, I'm sent there sometimes, a bit too many times. But please keep up to date with Logger. It's critical. We have a lot of new visualizations. packed circle, this thing, radar overview. And these are good visualizations that will make your life easier. It's not just visualizations. You can click on these things. Like this one, for example, takes your attention to automatically to this IP, to these two IPs. This one, there's this spike here. So I know it looks a bit too crowded, but we will fix those things. That this is just a prototype. But even the initial screen gave me a lot of energy just by looking at this. Because hunting and visualization is a human tool. So it has to grab your attention. This is how it grabs your attention. Coordinated brute force. This is the last presentation, last deck today, where I'm almost giving away the secret by showing you these two different pages. Normally, this came from 2014. It's an old slide that was already shown in Switzerland in a DEF CON type presentation. And Raphael Matti, he was the brainchild of this. He showed this. But I really liked it. What he did was, I'm not sure if it's too visible, but these are dots here. These are the usernames, ADAM until A to Z workshop. And these are, I believe, failed logins. And normally there was just one screen, and level 1 analyst looked at this and they said, I'm seeing something finicky here. I'm going to take the source addresses and create two different screens from two different source addresses. Let's try to break this visualization down. And it was the exact same visualization. As you can see, there is this line here, another line here, another like almost like a horse head, another horse head here, almost the same thing, like an S, like the shape of an S. And exactly, so what he decided was this was a brute force attack from different originating IPs, from different source IPs. One from Mexico, one from United States. There were actually 4. I just wanted to show you 2, otherwise it would be too complex. They know that we have a limit, let's say 10 logins per minute is your alerting level. They only fail 9 times. But now it's too slow, so they do it 4 times 9 from 4 different sources. So they are testing 36 accounts in 1 minute without getting any alerts. So this is the way to bypass the rules, the threshold mechanism. So visualization comes to the rescue, but you need to put it into this shape in order to understand what was going on. We are bringing this, it's called the coordinated brute force, into ESM and Logger. So I think this is critical. So with that, I'm not sure if we have too much time for Q&A, but we are out of time. All right. One question maybe, if we had any? All right, thanks for listening. And maybe we'll have the questions offline. I appreciate your time.